Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
Star Trek podcast.
Queen Neb will be keeping Wizard Castor here, in the deepest part of her dungeon, at the center of her realm, surrounded by her most powerful forces and weapons.
My God, King, you mustn't go. You will surely fall victim to her most terrible magics.
The princess is shrewd, as always. Staging a rescue would be unwise. Diplomacy might be more prudent.
I'm sorry, but we need the Mercury Stone. And it's hard to hear over the sound of your trembling boots.
That's enough. We're going to try diplomacy. If that doesn't work, then you can cut something in half.
Thank you, sire. Starfall is thirsty.
A ridiculous name for a sword.
You're ridiculous.
You are both going to escort me to Queen Neve. With as little bickering as possible, please.
Is it time to start the podcast? Are we ready to go?
I'm ready to start the podcast.
Jesse's ready?
I'm ready to start the podcast.
Jesse's ready?
I keep trying to start it. I don't know why.
Dan's ready?
I'm ready.
Jesse's
Nobody's
ready?
biting, man.
Last week there was a little bit of high energy shenanigans going on.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean?
Last
That's
week.
what we always do.
I don't know. It was a little extra
Isn't that
high
like, was
energy.
it extra?
A little extra high energy. So we're going to ease into this episode.
Well, I'm kind of mellow this evening.
I think it was because I had a Coke last time.
We're all a little mellow this time.
I've got a lot on my mind.
It's making you mellow.
That's a titillating reveal.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a lot of stuff.
I wonder if something will come up in the middle of the podcast. You'll just shout out some dilemma that you're dealing with. Okay.
Shout.
You have audience. You have tuned into the It's Got Star Trek podcast. This is episode 187 of said podcast.
What? 187?
Fuck, 137. I was 137.
I thought I heard 180. What did you hear, Jesse?
Yeah, I said at 80.
I probably
87.
misspoke because my mellowness. We're starting out
Because
real
threes
mellow.
look like eights, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not episode 187. It's episode 137.
Okay. I'm glad we're all clear on
We're
that.
being a little too mellow. We might have overcorrected based off of last week's energy. The name of the episode is the Elysian Kingdom.
Elysium.
Elysian with an N.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Elysian.
Elysian Kingdom, Elysian, which is isn't that a generic term? Not a generic. Isn't that a term?
Yeah,
from like
Elysian.
Roman,
Elysian.
or Greek or something?
That's what I said. Elysian.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
It's from the Greek Jenks. Yeah.
I didn't say it any other way.
Yeah, but you're smiling as if you did.
I did. I'm not smiling. I'm just upside down. I'm standing on my head.
All right. So
I'm really mad.
the Elysian Kingdom, which is my favorite episode of the season so far. I don't know. Maybe people might disagree with that. That's fine. I right from the beginning, I couldn't help but be 100% charmed by what was going on. And of course, I saw the preview, so I knew it was coming down the pike. I had some clue. I did not know how far they would go into it and how much the actors would enjoy playing these ridiculous parts.
I mean, I'm not mad, but I can do with or without that episode. Really.
Well, that's good. We have
there was
divergent
some
opinions.
moments where it was just really really exaggerated. Like they were just going doing like off the wall stuff. Like
I loved it.
Like when she's all like, I like this science.
Yeah, right. Right. And then
and then he like blows on his wand.
Yeah, he blew on his science stick. Hammer so it's weird. There was some out of character stuff. Now, understandably, because a lot of them were playing characters that were kind of way different than their personalities, right? Pike had no spine and was all like, oh no. And then La'an was, she was kind of helpless. Is not quite the right word, but
the floopy princess.
Yeah,
well,
right.
She's the most princessy out of all of them. That wasn't surprising to me.
What are you talking about? She's
all prissy and British.
There's so much. There's so much conflict this week.
You think
conflict amongst
La'an normally
the podcast hosts?
La'an normally is very like serious and down
straight
to
laced.
business.
I'm with Dan on this one.
Yeah, she's down to business and she doesn't mess around.
Since you come at something from a different perspective, Jesse, we have no other option but to conclude that you've gone insane.
Well, I can understand that.
But okay, Dan.
But yes,
elaborate more on your point.
Oh well,
what were you saying?
Oh, I mean,
he was saying he could give or take this episode.
Yeah, so right, so
he was fully invested.
And so it was interesting that he was the only him and Mbenga were the only two that weren't messed up on gusto juice or whatever, and they Hemmer.
Wait, is that what you're terming the nebula cloud interaction?
Was that thing made of gusto juice?
They originally thought it was a Boltzmann brain. I'm glad they at least.
No, I think they still think it's a Boltzmann.
No,
brain.
they decided that it was. Did they just decide
Boltzmann brain? That's bonkers.
No, they totally are. They're asserting that this nebula.
So this person, Deborah,
generated a Boltzmann.
This Deborah
brain.
was a Boltzmann brain.
Yes,
and so in Nth Degree on TNG. with Barclay, the motivation in that episode was the weird center of the aliens, who were in the middle of everything, right? The center of the Earth, center of the universe, galaxy.
I can't remember. They were near. They weren't in the center.
They were like the center, and the way they visited other places is by drawing them in. So that was the motivation there. And everyone has their aliens have different motivations.
Well, there was a TNG episode, Imaginary Friend, where there was the girl who had the imaginary friend who was an alien.
Yeah.
And then there was a Deep Space Nine episode where like the imprints of a bunch of dead people made people like infected their brains and made them act out some like ancient storyline.
The point I was making is that those kinds of aliens, while crazy and silly and ridiculous, that's a little bit more motivation than a Boltzmann brain, which is just kind of like, oh yeah, this intelligence came up, we don't know why, and now
but that's a real
now
concept.
It's just doing something.
They're doing
Star science.
I know, but I guess they've never done it before, so why not?
I mean, they've done similar types of stories, but with different explanations.
And Hemmer. So Hemmer, he was supposed to play. Was it Pollux, or at one point, Uhura said it was he was Castor.
Yes, he was Castor,
and Spock was
like the oil.
Okay, well, I'm going to say on Castor before I go to Paul.
Or like the thing you put under a couch.
Yes, exactly. Or like a thing that casts spells, which is what he was. He was a spellcaster.
Yeah, quite on the nose.
Yeah,
on the nose. If you ask me, Would you say that was on the nose, Jesse? That name, Castor, for a wizard,
right on the beak.
So he was. I'd never considered it until now, but anyways, he was kind of crazy. He was outgoing and he was sympathetic. He was showing all these not on-Hemmer-like qualities, at least from what we know of him so far. I'm not going to put him in a box.
Well, we know
it's interesting how it was.
I think by definition,
put all your hammers in one box.
They probably did it on purpose because of the style of the episode, but it was a little jarring.
Well, okay. If you perceive it to be jarring, that is a valid viewpoint. I would argue that you can't really call something out of character in the first season, especially for a character.
That's why I qualified what I said. What I said. That's why I qualified what I said with.
We're learning more about it.
Yeah, we're learning more. I did qualify what I said by saying like it's too early to say out of character, but based upon patterns we've seen so far.
Yes,
we're learning
patterns of force.
We're learning more things, but the jump was a little harsh for me. But just like I ain't mad.
Well, it's a wacky episode.
Yeah, it's a wacky episode.
It's a super wacky episode.
It's really wacky. Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah,
I adored this episode. I can totally understand where everyone else is coming from, by the way, which is what I tried to convey when I was first mentioning my love for this episode. That I do,
and I want you to
understand if this is a controversial.
And I want you
episode.
to know, I'm not coming from a position of like, oh, his character totally wouldn't do that because he doesn't have the proper rank to blah blah blah. I'm not trying to like call some kind of this is what would happen in the real world.
Are you sure?
Kind of
because you are articulating that position very well.
I was just saying, from what we know of Hemmer so far, it was a sharp turn. And I know we are learning more about his character, and I want to make it very clear that I'm totally with you on that, bro.
See, for me, it didn't feel like a sharp turn because I think from the get-go, I got the impression that he was being played as a curmudgeon with a heart of gold.
Yeah. Well, it shows him this is the first time he's ever been like,
tested on it.
Sympathetic, kind of like, hey, it's gonna be okay, pal. Hey, pal, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. Like he never has had to do that before.
I don't know how subtle
he
the writers...
kind of did it with Uhura, but more that was like, hey, we got to get this business done here. That was that was.
I don't know if I want to give the writers this much credit, as brilliant as they've been this season, but maybe they deserve this much credit. We'll see. Or maybe they'll hear this podcast and claim this, because there's no way to prove that they weren't thinking this.
Can't prove it negative.
I think Hemmer...
Can't prove it.
Hemmer is happiest when he's getting to solve problems. He likes to solve problems.
He's like the wolf.
Yes, he's like the wolf from Pulp Fiction.
He solves problems.
And again, for listeners, if we make a movie reference, high probability it will be either from Pulp Fiction or from Spaceballs. Possibly from Fried Green Tomatoes or Princess Bride.
Fried Green Tomatoes would be Patrick mostly. It would never be me because I don't have anything against that movie. I think of it about on the level as most other decent movies.
Dan doesn't have anything against the movie Fried Green Tomatoes. However, he does feel compelled each time to make to distance himself from a reference to Fried Green Tomatoes.
Because you make it a point each time to say that we're all like in love with Fried Green Tomatoes. And I just want to make it very clear.
In fact, I've argued that we should watch it as a group to enjoy it or not enjoy it, each in our own way.
But I thought we were going to also make fried green tomatoes.
Yes,
I've had fried green tomatoes.
We'll eventually do that.
And then eat them.
And then read the book in the book club together.
We occasionally, exactly. Fried green tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe.
Only if we make them and eat them.
Yeah. We periodically will do, and it's not Star Trek.
Don't dream of purple windows in your gullet.
Okay.
With AI.
So, there's a pattern that we've fallen into, which is I mention fried green tomatoes, and then you make a reference to Blade Runner and or do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I'm not clear on how that pattern developed.
Did he really do that? Really?
Yes, this is the second or third time we've gone through this program. So maybe we have done too many podcast episodes. All right, back to the regularly scheduled Star Trek.
The podcast.
Star Trek. Okay, so you're saying
Let's take a break.
I'm not break time yet. Every week now, Jesse's like,
Let's take a break.
Jesse's tired. He's been Jesse was traveling on a secret mission. Dan's going to be traveling on a secret mission next week. Everyone's scooting about doing all this.
Yeah, we're recording this podcast earlier than normal.
All right, not break time yet. It's still talk about Star Trek time. Then we'll take a break. Then we'll talk about Star Trek. Then we'll take another break.
We're the Spaceballs. Watch out!
Spaceball.
You really are a spaceball.
Yeah.
All right.
So
this episode,
you thought it was lovely. I was
this episode.
I was okay with it. I could give or take, but it was fine.
From the first frame, I was charmed. And as it went on, I became more and more charmed. And as it pulled the good old-fashioned Star Trek gag, particularly, the kind of thing you'd see on TOS, where it's whimsical, in this case, extremely whimsical, and then has a whole, double boom, boom, gut punch, punch in the gut at the end, punch in the gut, make you cry.
I'm glad they sort of figured out something, like something to happen to the girl that was actually positive, because I didn't know how it was going to go. Was it going to go kind of like bad, or
I thought they were going to I thought they were going to make it go along longer. I thought it would be more of an ongoing.
I'm glad they didn't drag it out.
Yes, me too.
They didn't drag it out.
Well, then why do you think they did it in the first place?
It adds to his character development, his motivations.
It's the cutie booty.
It fills time. Yeah, and it's a touching story. And it makes for a good little ongoing B plot. Even though here what you do is you lay down their B plot over a few episodes randomly, and then boom, A plot elevated to A plot.
Crazy science fiction shit too.
Yeah, I like that B. Yeah, it was like living in the buffer. Living in the buffer. I like that B plot too with his daughter, and I kind of wish it went on a little longer, I guess. But this is an interesting resolution. It's kind of,
I mean, they can always come back to it in the.
I'm kind of glad because it was bumming me out, man.
It was bumming me out, and it was like, is it going to be just like a series of episodes where it's like, I almost have the cure?
Right.
Nope.
Oh right, then
no. And she keeps like fading in and out. Like, no, I'm here. No.
We're going to save this kid. Oh no, we sent him to be eaten up by an AI computer for over the course of however many years.
Which is sort of what happened in this episode.
Right, yeah. Interesting. That is a good point.
It's not a happy ending.
I was also going to say, speaking of Nth Degree, she basically lived in a holodeck or whatever, a HoloLand forever. She's like, I made my own adventures. But that's exactly what they were getting on Barclay about in Nth Degree. Or maybe it wasn't Nth Degree, but it was one of the Barclay episodes where he was stuck. It might have been Nth Degree, where he's stuck in the holodeck. And I think it was Troy's like, Barclay. I shouldn't do that. Barclay.
Honestly, I don't think it's offensive.
I don't
worried that
know
it's
what it
offensive.
is. Barclay, see?
Who are you worried about offending?
Barclay, you need to get out of that holodeck, see? Get back to real life.
Yeah.
Like that?
No.
I don't think she spoke about that.
Yeah. It's not offensive to the actress who plays Deanna Troi.
No.
That's offensive to the concept of impersonations.
Yeah.
What you've done
Oh,
there.
man. I offended comedy.
You offended comedy.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Barclay was given shit because he wanted to spend all his time in the holodeck living in his holodeck dreams, and then Troy was like, you're escaping reality. You're not living real reality. And then now, though...
Yeah, that was one of the early ones.
Deborah, that's her name. No, that's the name of the Boltzmann brain, right?
Yes, of
Deborah,
the big old cloud brain.
Boltzmann brain.
Anyway, so I keep forgetting the name. What's the name of
brain.
it? It was what was the name of the?
Look it up in your notes.
I'm looking
I
up
didn't take any
in my notes. Rukia.
Rukia.
Not Rufio.
Yes.
Rukia. So
Rukia.
right. I knew it was something like that, but I kept forgetting. Anyways, so Rukia. All
right. So buttons.
Sudoku.
So she lived just like Barclay lived in the holodeck, making up his own dreams, and he was getting criticized for it. That's exactly what she was doing. She was doing the same thing as Barclay.
But she has cancer.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
And it was in a cloud creature. So, okay.
But I mean, what's reality, man?
All right.
If it's from computers or from cloud creatures, what's the difference, man?
I think we are ready for...
She's got space cancer.
I think we are ready for...
Yeah, that's the one reason why, Jesse, why I was kind of like easing up on it a bit, because like she had a good reason for it.
Look, I think we are ready for the first clever and insightful point of the podcast episode.
Okay.
Which is, I believe that at this stage in the season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, its inaugural season 1, what they've informed us of how they're constructing this show is they are going more loosey-goosey in terms of the plot elements and star dates, the amount of time it takes to make a subspace call to one group versus another.
It's like old Star Trek.
They're doing it like TOS. I think partly because it gives you a vibe. It gives you a TOS vibe to it, right? And partly because it frees up the storytelling a little bit to be a little bit more allegorical, a little bit more metaphorical, and worry less about the particulars. Because there's a lot to worry about in this concept that they've presented to us of this Boltzmann brain absorbing a child, and then, like you said, what is she doing? What's happening? Is she traveling through space and time? Is she stuck in just this cloud? If she's aged that fast in this moment, and then if she meets her father, 10 years in the future, is she going to be like 3,000 years old?
People are always phasing out, and when they phase back in, it's like either 100 or 1,000 years later or something. That happens all the time.
Name every example.
There was that episode of The Orville where it happened.
Which episode? What's the name of the episode? Which season? Who were the primary actors and the guest actors?
Galecki. What's her last name?
Okay, but that
she was like, healed someone, and the person was all like, "Oh, you're a god" or something,
Yes. Well, okay. So yes, the Orville did it. Voyager did the very similar one.
But they're always doing that.
They are always doing it.
I mean, it makes sense that when something phases out, it might as well. What if it moves super slow, and by the time it phases back in, you've been standing there for like 6 years? You're like, why didn't you move? And you're just like, I don't know, I was just standing here. And then it's been 6 years.
Something happened to him, man.
Could have just moved.
Yeah.
It's infuriating.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is this.
What am I getting at?
What? Hey,
I'm going to tell you what I'm getting at.
What am I getting at? Pepperoni pizza. That might be offensive. A pepperoni and a sausage on a pizza. You put a cheese in the
Are you making fun of
with
pizza,
the tomato and the pesto.
Are you making fun of people?
No, what I'm getting at with this episode is, and not just with this episode, with Strange New Worlds in general, is they're letting us have a different style of storytelling that is less worried about the particulars. It's less worried about the particulars in how a pirate's plan works with their crew and all that stuff, right? Like they're less particular. In this case, Rukia disappears, comes back a few seconds later, is an older person, has a conversation with her dad, says to tell her dad everything's fine. Obviously, there's a bunch of crazy stuff that you could try to consider. That
right. I mean, he gets a call to sick bay from sick bay to the bridge, and he walks through a door, and then everything changes. Yeah. Right. That's basically it.
And it's as long as you're not worried about it, that can be fun. Now, it may not be the type of fun you're looking for.
You're saying you're worried about like why is there only one? Why are we just hearing about this? Like what could happen? What could happen if a bunch of these things pop up all over?
Wait a sec, are you talking to me?
Yeah, he thinks you're worried about something.
I'm looking at you. Sorry,
I thought you were accusing me of being worried.
We're voiceless. This is all
okay. My fault.
Non-spatial.
I thought you were my fault. I thought you were accusing me of being worried.
Like I was saying, the worry, like your worry.
The worry.
These Boltzmann
what are you worried? Are you worried about the other Boltzmann brains?
Yeah, I sort of got the impression that was a one-time thing. That Boltzmann brain. I don't think.
Is that something that concerns you?
It's not something. I'm not too concerned about seeing Boltzmann brain again. We never saw the center of the universe aliens.
Again, you mean?
Again.
Well, that's the thing is in a lot of Star Trek, particularly TOS and TNG, although it also happens frequently on the other series as well, you do have these one-off stories. That's one thing that a lot of us have missed when it comes to Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard is these little one-offs where you have a little moral tale with a sci-fi element wrapped into it. And that's it. And then you don't.
Oh yeah,
you don't worry about not going back to it.
I'm totally, and that's why I think I brought it up with the one where the Spock Amauk, that one. I think that one was set up. It's sort of set up from the start. Where the crew is on leave. It's like, oh, it's gonna be a fun episode. Some crazy hijinks are going, and that was okay. I was fine with that because I was like, yeah, you don't need to know a lot about this. I
quite like that one too.
Yeah, I did too.
I like silly stuff,
and so no, I do.
I'm a silly boy.
But the point I'm making,
I'm a silly little boy. They eased into that one.
Dan, tell me, tell me, I'm a silly little boy.
No, the point I'm making is the point I'm making.
You all a bunch of silly little boys.
Dan's getting angry.
No, I'm just trying to remember what my point was. You were. I know. Sometimes it doesn't matter. A lot of times it just doesn't matter what the fucking motivations are. You don't get too caught up in it. There's a time and place. Like last episode, we didn't really need to know too much why they were going into pirate space, but they did. And so
last week my bare critique, and I think it was a lot of other people. It had stronger critiques about it. Was about like the whole plan, the pirate plan. A lot of the stuff sort of didn't make sense. But I'm a story first person. That's just my personal perspective. I know that's not going to work for everybody. If the story of the episode is good and if it fits the characters, I'm happy. What I get upset is, if the characters are acting weird or if they do. Like, I'm not too worried about canon, for example. Like, if you make a little twist of like what year something happened or who's related to who.
Yeah, I'm not really.
It doesn't stress me out unless it's sort of needless or they didn't do if there wasn't like an obvious thing they could have done to maintain canon. But that's contingent on the idea that the actual story they're telling is fun and or interesting in some way. In other words, that it has some sort of value to it. If it's a boring or dumb story, then it's infuriating when they kind of mess around with characterizations and stuff like that. This episode was one of those ones I like. I like possession episodes where the actors get to play goofy stuff. We've seen it a million times to varying degrees of awesomeness. I think for me, I just really enjoyed this particular group of actors getting to act the fool, basically.
Yeah, they were all like I said before, they were all got to play different themselves or whatever.
Yeah. Costumes are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I think for me aided in my enjoyment of this episode is I have a long-standing love of things that clearly took a great deal of expense and or effort to portray something really silly.
Right.
And so for me, when I'm watching this,
put plants all over the Enterprise.
The costumes were amazing. The makeup was amazing. The set decorations in sickbay with cauldrons and stuff like that was amazing. They spent a lot of time and effort and thought and artistic energy into making this happen. And it's super silly. And for me, that's a bonus. The ratio of effort to absurdity, the wider that is, the happier I am. The more of a silly little boy I am.
Silly little
Are you
boy.
a silly little boy?
The hammer blowing on a science stick was pretty silly though. That was pretty
I know,
pretty
I
out
liked
there
it.
silly.
He's
Well,
he's a silly little anar.
The whole part of the end of that scene there is silly. And you're just like, what?
So how did that scene even end?
I like this science.
Oh yeah, right.
And then
yeah.
he blows on his
Yeah,
stick,
right.
and then they walk off.
Yeah, so he was a wizard, and Spock played his brother wizard, or
Yes, Pollux.
So was it Pollux, or I know Uhura said Pollax, which is an actual thing. A
Yeah.
poleaxe is like a weapon, you know.
Yeah,
but
there's Pollux.
but I also heard
There's
Pollux.
Pollux 4 is like isn't that a planet?
Well, I think I heard them.
Pollux 3, Pollux
That's
4.
those Geminis, right?
I can't answer that, but I can say that I thought I heard of Pollux the first time around too. I just specifically remember Uhura also said Pollax. To me, that's what I heard.
It could be different pronunciations.
Han, you old dog.
Yes, exactly.
Or whatever.
Like Han versus Han Solo.
Han.
That classic
Han.
old thing. Han.
Or
how William
Han
Shatner
Solo.
says sabotage. Sabotage. He says it all weird. I can't even do it.
I'm trying
He
to
just says
remember.
it weird.
It was either
Succotash.
maybe there was one of them where they were saying the wrong thing throughout the whole first season.
Sensors,
It wasn't even that. It was something else.
inertial
Dampeners.
dampers.
They just never decided on like the proper form of that word. Is their problem?
Well, I'll tell you what I've decided on. I've decided that now, Jesse, now it's time to take a break.
Woo!
All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll see which of the three of us realized what fun little Deep Space Nine Easter egg they plopped down into this episode. Be right back. Alrighty, we're back.
Alrighty,
You had a couple minutes to think about it.
I had the whole break. I was thinking about it, and I
right.
was racking my brain for the whole break.
I think this is pretty cool. So, what they've done is this book, The Kingdom of Elysian. Do you know who it's by? Which
No.
author? Which fictional author it's by?
Oh, is it by the same person that wrote The Pallid Sun or whatever from the
No.
that
It's written by Benny Russell. Benny Russell is the character that Captain Sisko hallucinates himself as in Deep Space Nine, like in Far Beyond the Stars.
No faking.
etc. Now, up till now, the podcast, up till now.
That's actually it's a pretty awesome name. Up till now.
Up till now. Except it's not like about the progress in the content. It's about the how late you're staying up at
Exactly.
night.
I would think of it no other way.
Well, okay, good. All right. It's a double entendre. It's like it's the least sexy double entendre.
Yeah.
All right.
makes
Benny
it hot.
Benny Russell is the character, the author character, the sci-fi and fantasy author character that Ben Sisko imagines himself to be at one point. Up till now, we didn't know whether that was just something conjured in Captain Sisko's mind or in the minds of the prophets, and they just inserted it in his mind. What we're getting here is evidence that Benny Russell was in fact an author and wrote these books, and now somebody on the Enterprise is reading one of his books. So that's the cool little Deep Space Nine Easter egg.
I would have never gotten that.
How do you feel about now that you learned that? How do you feel? Do you like it? Are you indifferent to
I
it?
feel enlightened.
I think I'd have to think it over some more. My immediate reaction is kind of like, okay, why not?
Well, that's fair enough, Dan.
I wonder in how many scenarios you would have that exact response.
Yeah.
Okay, why not?
Yeah. Right. So I'm trying to think if there's other. I'm reminded of there's a link between the movies American Psycho and Rules of Attraction.
I thought you were going to say
There's a
Fraggle
link?
Rock.
There's a link because the name of the character, Christian Bale's character in American Psycho, I think he has the same last name as Jason Vanderbeeks, aka Dawson. His character
From Dawson's Creek?
Yes, from Dawson's Creek in rules of attraction. Anyways, I was thinking, and apparently there are books that related each other to each other. They were related more in the book form or something.
Really?
I could be inventing all of this, but I remember being told I'm not going to look it. I'm not going to look it up. I'm just going to go.
I'm kind of hope you're inventing.
I kind of hope so.
Well, this is what I remember to be true, and so it was a whole world where they were combined. Now, I was thinking that because you were talking about canon and saying like, how do you feel about this new added canon? I was like, you know, in the movie form, without having read the books, you're kind of like, oh, they're related for some reason. Okay, this is more relevant than that. The Star Trek, what was the name of the author?
Benny Russell.
Benny Russell was more relevant.
Benny Russell.
Than the movie versions of Dawson's Creek and Rules of Attraction and American Psycho. I've not read the books.
I don't know. Dawson's Creek got pretty freaky there towards the end.
What am I talking about? I don't know.
We're talking about the concept of disparate media being related, even though in this case it's in the same universe.
Yeah.
Like it's overtly in the same universe.
I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it. You know, I have no problem with it. It's just kind of.
What are you worried about?
Yeah, I got no problem if you got a problem with it. There's no problem.
I guess it doesn't really benefit one of the others, either side. It's a fun Easter egg.
Yeah,
you know, it's a fun Easter egg.
There we go.
So we had Hemmer was.
He admitted that it was fun.
He admitted what?
You admitted it was fun.
I admitted it was fun.
You had fun.
I'm not such a jerk. I'm not such a stupid jerk. No, I'm a cool guy.
You had fun learning about it.
Hemmer was Castor, and then his Spock was his brother, who was Pollux.
And he was Spock was very sexy. You forgot to mention the sexy long-haired Spock.
Right. So
looking all sinister.
The vibe I was getting from Pollux is that he was he was a wizard, obviously. Sinister, obviously. But also, it seemed like he was kind of a roguish kind of character.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like, hey.
I think Ethan Peck can't help it.
Hey. Now, do you think...
that's what Ethan Peck goes around. When he's not in Spock form, he goes around going, hey. I'm Gregory Peck's grandson.
Magic missile on you. Magic missile. Oh,
wait, what
cure poison.
Are you talking? Why are you talking about Ethan Peck's magic missile?
I'm gonna cure your poison.
Because he's like a black wizard.
What was the
I think it's the white wizard.
White wizard? Was it a white wizard and a black wizard?
That's how they were portrayed in the book.
So
typical, standard binary, good old fashioned.
Spock had like a dark,
archaic.
So
white and dark binary.
So do you think it was Ethan Peck? Now, have you seen Ethan Peck in anything else? Either of you have seen? Go. Have you seen Ethan Peck?
I have not.
I don't recall.
I have
not either. So
not unless you count Star Trek Discovery or the Star Trek short treks.
Right.
Anything other than Spock.
That's no, I have not.
So
I don't know why that made me laugh. Anything other than Spock.
Anything other.
Have you seen him doing anything else?
When he played this roguish kind of wizard character,
quick note, I like the way you pronounce roguish.
Is this like a complimentary way of correcting my speech?
I'm not correcting you at all. There's nothing to correct.
But you're drawing attention to it.
He likes the way you speak.
I like the shape of the vowels in your mouth, is what I'm saying.
How would you say it? I'll bite.
I'm not. He rolls his R's more.
I know. Look, I know this is the nature of our relationship where it's difficult to be sincere to each other because there's always this undercurrent.
I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Exactly. There's always this undercurrent of sort of playful tomfoolery. But quite seriously, I just enjoy the shape of the vowels when you say the word roguish. It's not that I dislike or in any way, want to tremble upon the way you say any other word. It just that caught my ear.
Oh well, thank you.
Yeah, and maybe it's the mellow energy.
What do you mean? You like
making me focus more?
I talk.
I'll take that to the bank.
What do you mean?
Oh, thank you. Roguish. So it's gonna be ruined now because I won't be able to say it.
Yeah, you didn't say it as well that time. Well, but
Anyways, do you think it was Ethan Peck playing Spock playing Pollux, or do you think it was just Ethan Peck playing Pollux?
I think it was Spock.
See, that's an interesting discussion
because he seemed Spockish, right?
He wasn't. There was some like limitation to him, but limited. Well, I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I agree. There was something that was constraining him. He wasn't completely goofy. However, most everybody else was. So I interpret it as the brain creature Cloud was essentially puppeteering, reprogramming everyone's brains completely, like just 100% completely inserting the characters, and that they're
that's true because Lon was very much like Who had Lon had a actually, you know, she was doing a joking sing-songy voice, but she actually seemed like she had a good voice. You know, she was probably like, you know.
I think it's important to point out that in this episode, they specifically did not have all the characters be the antithesis of what their normal personality was. Some of them were. Captain Pike's character, complete opposite of Captain Pike, right? La'an, in my view, not Jesse's, complete opposite of what La'an would normally play.
Well, actually, Ortega's was all formal and serious, non-jokey.
She was non-jokey, which that is a fair point, but she was also very martial, which she is in normal character. And the same thing I thought with very Una. Martial. Una was different. She wasn't Una, but she wasn't the opposite of Una, right?
Yeah.
The opposite of Una would be even more playful than Spock or La'an were being, right?
She was like a human version of a wood elf.
Yes.
Or something.
The Huntress.
The Huntress.
And the names were purposefully silly.
She
like
also
Castor.
She played Mystique on X-Men, didn't she?
She did indeed.
So.
Back when she was Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
Yes.
Married
but no
to
longer.
John Stamos.
Now, do you know who she's married to?
John Wilkinson.
No.
Frederick Butlery.
No.
Johnson Mohandy. Johnson Mohandy.
I'll give you a clue. He's the first officer on the USS Cerritos. You guys know, you should know this.
Cristobal?
No, the Cerritos, not the La Serena.
Oh, sorry.
Jerry somebody.
Yes, from
Sliders.
From Sliders, yeah.
I knew it. That's who I knew who you're talking about.
And his name is?
Jerry O'Connell.
I thought you were going to say Jerry Bruckheimer.
Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yes.
No, I didn't say that, nor did I say Billy O'Connell.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Point made and concluded that you did know that they were married. We've discussed it previously.
We probably did.
Yes. All right. Next topic. we're gonna move along home to the next topic. Related to this particular episode. So, what's next up on the docket?
We already talked about Hammer blowing on a science stick, right?
Yes, we've talked about that a bunch of times. And you knew that, but you were bringing it up again because you just wanted to say science stick.
I like I do like science stick. So Lon, I was saying, she was singing an epic song of mourning, and it was like she was doing a silly voice, but you could tell she had a good voice. She also did this weird little part with her dog later. Yeah, she goes like, Runa says, brutal Queen Neve stands nary a chance. Runa, does she? Princess Runa applauds you. And then she goes, me, 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 me. And it was much funnier when she did it.
Maybe she made the dog clap.
Oh, no, I missed that. I missed the clapping.
She grabbed the paws. And the other fun tidbit, the fun bit of trivia that everyone listening to this podcast episode is no doubt already aware. But in case you aren't, you heard it here first, folks. That's her dog. That's Christina Chong's dog.
Summer Wheatley.
Her actual dog. I don't get that joke.
That was the name of.
It's from like Napoleon Dynamite. Isn't it?
Oh yeah, I only saw that movie.
Oh, it reminded me because they were talking about how she had a dog that was like in real, like the actor.
Well, in this case,
so I was thinking like Summer Wheatley.
That is La'an's real life pet.
Well, cute dog.
Yeah, I think that dog has its own Instagram.
Well, of course,
like most dogs these days.
If I had a dog, I'd give my dog an Instagram.
Yeah,
but I don't have a dog.
Well, you can rectify that pretty easily.
Yeah,
you should call it like Instapaw.
Instapaw, Insponfar,
No.
Insponfar.
Stop changing around my words.
Yeah, man. You always be changing things around.
Yeah. So it was. You're talking about. So there was the Oracle was the computer.
What was the deal with Nurse Chapel? Who was she supposed to be?
Oh, she was wearing
like a witch.
Some kind of witch.
Was it a witch?
She was, or some
kind of healer woman,
a healer monk.
She was dressed most woodsy. Woodsy as I'm sorry, that's not the right word.
Yeah,
Most like she lived on a cottage. She looked dressed like she lived on a cottage.
A country healer.
On a cottage?
On top of a cottage, all covered with cheese.
Ew.
And then Hammer. Oh yeah, he was
cottage cheese is just lazy cheese.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm not against cottage cheese, but come on, it's just lazy. It's just like we're not going to put in the effort.
I'm not gonna.
We're not going to take the extra steps.
I'm not into that melon on cottage cheese. It weirds me out.
No, just
I'm not
scoop
into
it.
melon, I don't think.
Just scoop
Yeah, you know
up
what?
the-
I don't really like melon either.
I like
watermelon, but I don't think
I like
the-
water.
No.
I'm okay with watermelon, but I could give or take. I don't care.
I'm not
about...
into like cantaloupes.
No,
and
I'm all
honeydews.
about the cantaloupe.
I'm not thinking.
Well, you cantaloupe. What will your honey do?
Yeah, I don't like
I didn't
honeydew.
make that
I mean,
up.
honeydew's fine.
melon head.
Watermelon, I don't actually like watermelon. I find it watery and boring.
Hence the name.
Yeah,
Melon de agua.
It's nice
cantaloupe,
when you
I
cut
can-
it up into chunks and just eat it with your fork.
I've had it and all the things.
See-
More power to you. I wish I liked it. I'm one of those people. I wish I liked the things I don't like. I wish I liked because then guess what? I'd like more things.
Then you'd
The
like
things
them.
I'd like, the things I don't, I wish I liked. Because guess what? Then I'd like more. Then I'd like more things.
What do you think about cucumber?
The things
I like cucumbers.
The things I don't were the I wish
Both
that
fresh
the
and
things,
pickled.
The things I don't are the things I like. I wished
What
I
are you
liked because
saying?
then I could have cheese.
Okay, Dan.
Do you like things?
You're drifting into last week energy.
Oh man.
Go back down into that.
Okay, go back into
Talking about liking
Chill out.
cheese.
Lychee cheese.
So lychee cheese. Oh no.
From under cheese.
So they had the Oracle was the computer, and then they had the fog. There was some kind of fog, and then Pike was
That was
talking
the
about.
nebula.
So when Pike was like, we gotta commandeer this ship, I thought he was like, okay. What he meant was boat. So at first I thought they thought they were on a boat instead of a starship, but it turns out they were in a kingdom, and they were.
I
that's
thought-
what
I
was
thought-
confusing.
I thought he
Surrounding
said-
the whole kingdom.
I thought he said commandeer. I said, am I going to have to commandeer a ship?
Yeah, that's what.
He thought
Yeah,
he was
that's what I
talking
said.
about a
Not
bay.
not the
A
ship.
bay of
No,
water.
I know a ship. I know
He
a
said
ship.
sick
But he didn't
bay,
mean the
and then he was
Enterprise.
like, are you talking about like a bay of water?
I'm confused by your comment.
Because
I request
I was
clarification.
thinking of it as in like he was on the Enterprise on a ship, and he was like, I'm going to commandeer a ship as if there's another ship nearby because you're on the water.
This is where I disagree with your interpretation. I think we're meant to, and perhaps.
Well, I mean,
this
no,
is the
I know that I'm wrong. I'm just saying
No, no,
that
no.
that's what I was thinking at first.
I get this.
at first.
Yeah, because
First,
it
Yes.
was a little confusing, but yeah, I guess the Enterprise is quote unquote the kingdom. And
Right. And it's what was confusing to me is because I was thinking, well, this water imagery, naval imagery, and then they switched it up and made it a kingdom. But that's not their. That's my
You
problem.
had a lot of problems with this episode.
No. That was my. That's
It's okay.
No, I don't. That's
It's okay.
That's my problem, not
not
theirs.
everything.
infinite
That's
diversity and infinite
Everybody
combinations.
can't like everything. all the
I'm
time.
just saying that part was just my fault. That was my fault. It's on me. It's on me. I don't blame them. I'm just telling them what my brain did.
It's on all of us.
This is just what my brain did on that one part for a second because my brain does that sometimes. Does your brain do things sometimes?
My brain does
It
stuff.
does things
My
from time
brain,
to time.
my brain does stuff.
What does it do anyway?
Does thinking.
Is it thinking about
Stinking.
thinking about Lincoln?
Lincoln thinking.
You did Lincoln thinking, stinking.
Stinking Lincoln.
So okay, so right, so but you were talking about they were at a bay. They were talking about being at a bay, and you're on the kingdom, and you're commandeering a ship on the bay to get something else. What were they going to get with that ship? Yeah, where were they going to
He
go?
mentioned going to sick bay, and then so that's why he thought he was talking about a body of water.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
It's all-
yeah.
it's
I
all
remember
a-
that.
But he was worried about the sick part.
It's
Yeah,
an
right.
accidental pun gone wrong.
Well, I'm
what we're dealing
I'm
with.
on board. I'm on board. It's fine.
Is that meant to be a naval joke?
No, it wasn't. But I wish it was. I wish it was all leading up to that one
I'm just
statement.
saying, there's a lot of accidental pun stuff going
Yeah.
on, and it's leading in all sorts of bizarre directions,
It's
both
getting
in the
bizarre.
show
Walk
and
the
on the
plank.
podcast.
You have to walk the plank.
Yeah.
Don't make me do that.
Yeah. All right. So we have Uhura playing Queen Neve.
Icicles coming off of her. or
Yes,
something.
the icicles.
That was pretty nuts.
I really enjoyed her
Yeah.
her fingertip clinky things because she
Yeah.
just kept clinking them, and it was all sort of
Pretty
comically threatening.
Because they were get the mercury. There was something about the mercury stone.
Yes, the Mercury.
We never
Stone.
found out what the
Merc-
mercury
you see
stone.
the way
was.
you said Mercury was
in
fun.
the
Mercury.
in the framework. It ended up being Rukia. That was the thing,
right.
right? It's like in that construct.
See, I think you guys are just picking up on more stuff than me.
And in the story that the albino wizard's supposed to help him find the stone, and in fact he does, help him figure out.
Like he goes from the white wizard to the albino. Was he albino
Well,
in the book?
the character's an albino Andorian or whatever, but
Yes, the
that's
Enoch.
why I was saying albino. I should just say whatever his name is, Castor.
Hemmer was going to send them to the event horizon. He was going to, when he was challenging them with magic, he was like, I'm going to send you to the event horizon. Where he should have sent him is the center of the universe to meet those nth degree aliens, the center universe people. Yeah. Or even better, he could have sent him to the Salem witch trials.
Well, he wouldn't know about the nth degree.
Well, he just sent him to the
Salem witch trials with the witches and
the dimension. You mean in that TAS episode where Kirk does magic to fight wizards?
Wild.
Yeah, that was at the center of the universe or galaxy. They were both at the center of the galaxy. Both the nth degree and that TAS episode are both at the center.
The nth degree was not at the center, but sort of near it.
I'm pretty sure it was the center.
I don't think it was
because the whole point is the aliens didn't go anywhere.
We talked about that episode.
No, the whole point was the aliens. The aliens didn't go anywhere because they like to live in the center, so they made things come to them.
I think they didn't go anywhere, but they also were just kind of.
I'll bet dollars to donuts that it was the center of the galaxy.
Well, let's take a bet and we'll watch the episode.
And what do you mean
again.
near? What do you mean near the center? It either is.
What the fuck do you think I mean near?
Well, I mean,
what the fuck do you think that means?
Well,
it means near.
In the proximity.
Well, then what's the difference between near and center? I mean, like, are we talking?
There's a significant difference between near and center.
It depends on what
near
you're talking.
Is by definition distinct from near the center is not the center.
No, but it depends on the scale. If you're 5 feet,
of course it
if
does.
You're 5 feet from the center,
your implication. If I may be so bold, your implication is that the center has that barrier thing that it's like something that you have to deal with.
I never said that.
It's got like a.
I thought that was the implication because in the TAS episode there was a thing they had to pass through.
Oh, but that was they had
Star Trek 5. They had to like pass through something.
No, the thing they had to pass
the barrier thing.
In the nth degree, they didn't pass through a barrier. They just had to go really fast and
zip.
Exactly.
Well, that's why I'm arguing that it's not in the center of the universe because other times in Star Trek, the center of the galaxy, we should say, not the universe.
No, you silly.
And if you're near the center, that you're still not at the center.
Okay, the point is if you're
it doesn't matter whether you're a foot away or you're 1,000 feet away.
Yes, it does.
You're not at the center.
If you're 1,000,000 kilometers away and someone says the center of the universe, and they're within a foot, I think that qualifies
if you're right
as the
outside
center.
the door, you're not in the house.
That's not even how it works. The center is such. Yes,
Jesse, it depends on how big the house is.
Okay,
no, it doesn't.
What you're talking about is like a barrier. There's no barrier that defines the question I'm bringing up right now is a question of barrier. How do you define the barrier? Is there an event horizon or is there some kind of shit like that? I guess in the middle there is. Well, I don't know if they still think
just sent him to the cargo.
Well, yeah, there's a giant black hole.
A giant black hole, but I mean
massive black hole.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about
Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, Episode 8, the Elysian Kingdom.
My point was just that
where he references a black hole's event horizon.
Anyway, so I was just saying center, and different people can have different definitions for center. I think we need to figure out what center of the galaxy means is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, although in this it has nothing to do with this episode. It's only in relation to the nth degree, which is not this episode.
No, it's because
you keep mentioning the nth degree as a valid analogy to things in this episode, and then you do that checkers jump where then you're arguing a point about the nth degree.
So the nth degree and the TAS episode.
He's not going to stop. It's just going to keep going.
They both took place at the center of the galaxy, and then that's where we lost track. Is when I said center of the galaxy.
I think we all know where we all lost track.
So Hammer was like going to throw them in an event horizon, but he should have sent them to the center of the galaxy because there's all that treacherous stuff in there.
Yeah. All right. Now yes, great. Now the point that I want to make, is that he says the event horizon. He says there's a bunch of monsters there.
Right.
So I think he was going to send them. In his mind, he was trying to threaten to not actually do it, but he was threatening to send them to the Event Horizon, the Sam Neill movie.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
With the hell monsters.
Oh, man. That's so scary.
That's a fucked up movie.
That is a fucked up movie. I mean, I don't care what you think of it. I think it's fucked up. It fucked me up.
I mean, I can tell you what I think of it. I thought it was fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the most fucked up movie in the world, but it shook me a little. It's
pretty fucked up.
It shook me a little.
Yeah.
He sends them to a dark realm full of chaos and monsters, which is... That
sounds like the Event Horizon,
yeah.
Which, by the way...
He was referring to the movie.
Has Captain Lorca in it, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And he scoops out his eyes and he's all talking in Latin. He's like... Jason Isaacs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Captain Lorca. That's the connection.
Okay.
We haven't had Sam Neill in Star Trek yet, so hopefully that will be rectified sometime soon.
Yeah.
Sam Neill makes everything better.
Remember when he was in that TV miniseries Merlin?
Yes, that's a great miniseries.
Yeah, that was back before streaming.
Queen Mav and all
before limited series.
Martin Short plays a horrifying little elf man.
I don't remember Martin Short. I got to see that.
Yeah,
again.
he plays a horrifying, flittery little elf.
Remember the Gulliver's Travels with Ted Danson?
Yeah. That was a
I
good
never
one, too.
saw that. I remember that though.
That
I never
was
saw
tight.
that.
It was made
Was
by
that
the
good?
same people as the Merlin.
Do you think
people.
they'd still be good watching today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
find out.
I have
we
the
find
Merlin. I have the Merlin two-parter miniseries. We can watch it.
I dare you to find out.
It's got Sam Neill in it. Sam
Yeah.
Neill's great. Like, you can't watch something with Sam Neill in it and not have it be great. Even that creepy movie where he's in Berlin and there's like, there's
that
some
In the
sort of
Mouth of
monster
Madness.
ladies. Oh, that movie is fantastic. It's a terrible movie, but it's fantastic. Sam Neill's in it.
Yep.
All right. Sorry to shift it over to the Sam Neill thing. The only thing I like more
Sam
than
Neill. Sam Neill.
fried green tomatoes is Sam Neill.
What about
Sam Neill? The secret's in the sauce.
Sam Neill potatoes. What about Sam Neill?
Sam Neill in Hunt for Red October. He wants to move to Montana and raise rabbits. He would have liked to have seen Montana. Yeah. Yeah. Hunt for the Wilder People.
Fog. We never learned more about this fog. They were talking about
It was the
fog.
nebula.
The nebula, dude.
Oh.
It's just the nebula. Come on. And then they had actual
Maybe
fog.
I was really distracted tonight or something.
Off.
Did you watch this episode?
I did watch.
I watched
the
you watch it.
I watched
another
it,
Pulp Fiction
and I watched
reference.
it again.
All right, how about this?
Then it was time to come over here.
How about let's take a quick break.
No.
Yes. Final break
It'll
of
be
the
a
show.
quick one, man.
And then when we come back, we can wrap it all up.
It's gonna wrap it.
Wrap up all the pieces. All right. Be right back. Boom, boom, boom. We're back.
Boom, boom, boom.
I said last week that was going to be my new thing. And I figured people would think I was just being comically whimsical at that time, which I was. But now if I said it again. So maybe we can turn it into a thing.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. I'm back. Although I think last week I did boom, boom. We're back. But this time I did boom, boom, boom. We're back.
I like 3 booms better.
You like 3 booms?
I like 3 booms.
This is kind of a typical American more is better kind of thing.
How about 4?
I just think it
4 booms. Boom, 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 boom.
Rhythmically, 3 goes better.
Boom, boom, boom. We're back.
Boom, boom, boom,
Boom,
boom.
boom, boom. We're back.
How about boom, 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 boom?
Boom, boom, boom. We're back.
Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, boom, we're back. See, boom, boom, we're back feels
4
better to me,
booms.
but I see what you're saying about boom,
Boom, boom, back, be
we're
a better
back.
be. Big back, be a better be. Be a better be.
Boom, 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 we're
Be a
back.
better baggy. Big, baggy,
Boom,
big,
boom,
baggy.
boom,
big.
boom. That's a good Mika song, by the
Big.
way, where he's a, boom, 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 boom. Fried green tomato.
Mika?
I
Oh, wasn't he
think I
singing
know- I
something
think I know
about
that
pizza?
song.
He's thinking something about eating pizza.
All right. All right.
Let's eat some pizza. After this, can we get a pizza?
Yeah. we
From
can-
where?
I don't know. I have no idea.
From
I
Under
haven't
D's
gotten
Pizza.
pizza in years.
Really? Get out of here. You have 2 had pizza in
The thing
years.
is, with Jesse, you're never too sure. It's totally plausible. He has not had pizza in
And he's
years.
not sharing it because he's ashamed because he actually hasn't. For some reason, that embarrasses him.
Yeah. Or alternatively, he has pizza constantly. Not just every day, but like a constant stream of pizzas just showing up to his house.
Pizza's good.
Yeah, I like pizza.
I like frozen pizza too. It's fun.
Like, do you like pizza that's been frozen, or do you like pizza that's like marketed as associated with the movie franchise Frozen, Frozen 1 and Frozen 2?
Well, when you say the pizza that's been frozen, I think of like ordering
DiGiorno?
or no, I think of ordering like Big Bite or Domino's or Barrio's or whatever kind of
But
pizza.
that's not frozen.
But I know, but then I think of putting it in the freezer. That's what I imagine. It's like, do you like to order delivery pizza and then put it in the freezer? And I was like,
Why
no,
would you do that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
do people do that? That doesn't make any sense.
That's why I was wondering why you were asking me such a weird question.
No, I was you said frozen. You said you liked frozen pizza, so I was asking.
Yeah, and I thought it's like frozen pizza. No, I don't order pizza from the pizza store and then freeze it. I will buy pizzas that were already frozen that aren't cooked yet.
Why would
from the
anyone
grocery
ask
store.
such an audacious question?
You have a peculiar mind in philosophy.
What? You've never had a frozen pizza?
It's not meant as an insult.
What is it? No, wait a second. What does it even mean? You've had frozen pizza?
I like those barbecue chicken pizzas.
I've had frozen pizza. I'm confused and befuddled and slightly alarmed by this whole the order of pizza and put it in the freezer.
No, that's on you, man.
I didn't say that.
That's what you said.
I don't know where that's coming
you were
from.
basically saying, do
This
you like to
podcast is
order
going off the rails.
order pizza and put it in the freezer? And I thought that was fucking weird, man. So I'm not the weird one here.
Okay, I never said
the
that.
weird one.
I
here?
never said that. I just
You're the one showing me all the dirty pictures. You know that joke from
Yes.
the Rorschach test?
Yeah, the Rorschach test picture. All right. So, Star Trek. We do
That
primarily...
one's funnier. That one's funnier if you don't do the delivery. You just give the punchline first and then refer to it.
Most jokes are funnier if you just give the punchline first.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I interrupted you.
Yeah. To get to the other side. We do mostly talk about Star Trek on this podcast, even if sometimes we waver. Sometimes we waver.
Pike was all like, Ortegas. Do you remember that scene in the Sandlot where they're like, forever?
Yeah.
Forever.
I did not watch that movie.
Forever.
I'm watching you make weird faces.
I was in the Sandlot.
You are killing me, Smalls.
Yep. See, he knows.
Yeah, I know that line.
That's
what Pike.
That's from.
And Pike was going Ortegas. Oh, you mean Sir Adia?
I liked everything in this episode with Pike. Pike's whole business. Pike's whole vibe.
Yeah. It'd be cool if they did another one just like it.
I liked his goofy hair, his floppy hair. You know, his flooped down hair. You know what I'm talking about? His hair was all flooped down, parted down the middle.
Yeah.
So we don't really know why
It was a little different.
Like it all played out that way, but like you were saying, it doesn't really matter. I guess she was just indulging like the Rukia's.
She wanted to change the story.
And so the alien was showing Rukia what she's able to do, and she was basically
They were just hanging out.
She was enticing.
It was a lonely alien.
Somehow
alien.
this alien, the
Cloud-
Bolson
cloud-
brain or whatever.
Bolson.
What's
it
it
was
called?
a Boltzmann brain, or it could be a balsam of fur.
So this alien, I bet you this alien had the key to cure this girl and was like, I'm a consciousness that just spawned out of nowhere, and I'm super intelligent.
Yeah.
And I can like make fantasies happen around me. Oh, you have to come with me. The only place you can experience fantasies is in my house. That's a lie. She could have totally done it, and she just stole that girl because she was lonely.
Well, in some ways, I think it's no, test isn't the right word. It's the style of storytelling requires a certain lack of cynicism.
Yeah.
Right. And we all live in a cynical world. We've grown up in a fairly cynical way. And Star Trek itself, sort of, especially with Deep Space Nine, but even as early as TNG, started some of that cynicism, started creeping in a little bit. It's still hopeful, still trying to tell like great moral tales and all that other stuff. But from the angle of like the default position being like, things are kind of shitty. This is that older, again, style of just assuming the character, the audience is going to go along with the characters and like, for example, earlier in the season, I know it's come up a lot in conversations we've had about this show where we start discussing about whether or not we believe a certain alien or a certain crew member or whatever. And it becomes very clear as you're watching the show that no, they're all, we're meant to take the information at face value, pretty much, right? That's just the deal.
Yes,
Cynical business,
I totally agree with you. Like it's silly to be like, she was just trying to steal her
It's
away.
not even, okay. I don't want to go so far as to say
that's not what the episode's about. The episode's not about that.
I guess what I want to stress is that
I was just being fun.
No, I understand if people are not into this style of storytelling. It seems most people are. It seems most people are totally digging this season. This is generally considered fairly popular.
But I mean, how do you? This is an impossible comparison. But how do you compare it with like the TNG episode where there was Cupid or no, it wasn't Cupid. It was the one where they went to Robin Hood.
Yeah, isn't that Cupid?
Is that Cupid?
Is Cupid.
Oh,
yeah.
it is.
But exactly.
It's impossible to compare because they're different generations. But you know,
no, it's not impossible. I disagree. It's not impossible to compare. I think this
is the modern generation. That was the next generation.
This is the contemporary generation. Yeah. That was the past next generation.
Right.
Like what I guess the point I want to be clear about the fact
that
this
is the first generation.
If you're not into it, if you're not into this style of storytelling, or if you'd prefer something that had more of a focus on some of the nitty-gritty of the plot elements, I understand if this is going to dissatisfy these types of stories. Not every episode of Strange New Worlds is like this, but a lot of them have kind of leaned, Spock Amok was a little like that, where it just leans into like, we're not going to give a lot of details here.
Yeah.
And if you're not into that, you're not into that. That's cool. I'm not only not bothered by it. I find it kind of refreshing just because we haven't seen it in Star Trek in a while, and I also haven't seen it in
Star Trek is just happening
in TV in general in a while. They do a little bit of it in Lower Decks, but if you think back to like Voyager, for example, or Deep Space Nine, those shows were particularly good at crafting, or well, let's not say good. They were particularly focused on crafting tight interlocking plots, and they explained a lot, especially on Voyager, right? They were always like explaining the deal and trying to cover all the angles and answer all the fans' questions before they could get to them. Now, that's cool. That's like a style of storytelling. I think sometimes on Voyager, it would undermine the overall story because they would spend a lot of time or sort of show effort, mental effort on making it all hook together and make sense. Where if you loosen that up a little bit, if you don't give a fuck about the star dates making any sense, I don't care about star dates. And it's like on TOS, there'd be like, oh, it's the god Apollo, and we're just gonna have a story with the god Apollo, or we're gonna have a story, with Abraham Lincoln floating in space, and it works for the story. It's
Voyager
sort of ludicrous.
was all about counting down like how far they were from fucking Earth.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time counting down. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like it's a different vibe they're going for, and I think I've only started to fully realize that over the last few episodes, where you see that you're like we know these writers are so good. They're so good at crafting some great lines, some great story ideas. We know they could fill in the little gaps here or whatever, but they're choosing not to. They're saying you don't need to worry about this because that's not the story we're telling. This is the point we're making. Boom, there's the point, and here's some fun adventure, boom. Some adventure around that point. That's my assertion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It all happened with the 3QND? I think that was the compound was that the compound he was using with
Yeah, weren't you trying to search that up on the web?
3QND stuff is.
You found it on the dark web.
That's some Star Trek business.
Yeah, it was originated in this episode.
It was a compound he was attempting to derive in order to
blasted him in the face.
Develop a cure for Rukio.
Rukio. No, I thought there was it was a compound to help her. Did he get that from the people that with the AI, the child AI? Remember that guy gave him some tips on how to solve the sickness?
They don't make an explicit reference to that. But you could be perfectly reasonable thing to assume. For me, I thought that the part of the plot was going to be that the reason why Dr. Mbenga was not affected by this alien cloud was because that drug poofed in his face. Mm-hmm. Turns out that's not the case. Nope. It was because this was all crafted effectively by and for his daughter. So that's why. And then, of course, he had a fellow compatriot who wasn't in Hemmer, but that was explained by Hemmer having some Enar-related...
He's got psychic powers.
Psychic mind stuff. Now, Spock also has some good mind telepathic stuff, but I guess he wasn't...
Spock got beat, man.
Yeah, he got slurped up. Unless...
but he was a little bit Spocky, so it wasn't a total
we could find out 3 episodes from now that Spock also wasn't affected, but he just went along with it because he was having a good time.
He was just into it. Yeah.
He was just like, just loosen up.
Infinite possibilities or whatever, infinite combinations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they never really explained.
I'm going with it.
They never really explained what the 3QND is. I mean, I guess we can assume that
it's a volatile chemical.
Yeah, it's there to help his daughter get healed or something, but they don't really explain it.
It's supposed to cure space cancer.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It doesn't really matter what it does.
It explodes in your face, I guess.
It was really
pretty dangerous.
It was really depressing when he was talking about the story.
Dan, don't get any of that stuff, okay? You shouldn't play around with that stuff. That 3QND.
I wouldn't mess around with it.
It's gonna blow up in your face.
It's gonna blow up right in your face, dude.
He was Mbenga was talking about one of the characters talking about they had to
cats will eat you.
They had to let go of the what stone? The Mercury stone?
Yes, the Mercury stone.
The Mercury stone, and he says
sort of like the Philosopher's Stone.
And he says
and Harold Potter.
He was like the king had to give up the he was like the king has to give up the Mercury stone even though it means he won't be happy anymore. So, I mean, that's pretty depressing because that,
Well, they telegraphed that there was going to be that choice.
Well, it's just the idea that Mbenga is giving up his daughter, and he's basically saying outright, "I will never be happy again." But
unlike the original story, the daughter insisted that you could change the story, and part of that potential
to be able to
resolution
make
is-
him happy.
Well, no, she made him promise her to be happy.
Well, you can't make someone promise you.
No,
to be
but
happy.
from a literary standpoint,
no, I see what you're
she's
saying.
trapped him into like he will feel more guilty. In theory, he should feel more guilty if he doesn't try to be happy because his daughter has asked him to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good, clever manipulation on his daughter's part. It's probably
She's
the
not
main.
trapped in the pattern buffer.
It's the main thing she learned over the course of her brief time in the Cloudlands.
So do you think she lived forever? The implication is that they live forever.
She's going to
now.
live forever, dude.
Yeah, or at least until the heat death of the universe, when the universe sort of
heat
mellows out into a mushy soup of just evenly spread electrons, not doing much of anything.
Maybe they'll figure it out
One
by
possibility.
then.
Yeah, they might figure it out. There's a whole Isaac Asimov short story about that. Isaac Asimov. Do 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 do. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Sci-fi. Yeah.
Do 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 do.
Sci-fi.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
All right. Odds and ends. Any odds and ends? Any bits and pieces? There were a lot of lines, but there's almost too many. I stopped writing any of them down because for me, I just thought there was a lot of great humor, a lot of good responses, and just some good choices. For example, when they have that whole dramatic thing in the hallway where Mbenga is like, "We'll have to rescue Castor," and it sort of zooms in on him, and that normally would go to the commercial break, but then it went to a wide, another shot of the other people, Ortegas, etc., and they were all like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good plan." There's a lot of funny stuff like that.
There was a mega smallest side plot ever of Una's character and Ortegas' character having a history together.
Yes.
They kind of like
and
did
that serving as the
yeah.
clue to Mbenga as to why figuring out that it was his
Yeah.
daughter's mind that was driving it.
I guess
not
that's
his
true.
own.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
You guys are full of all sorts of smart shit.
Full of beans. Full of beans.
Full of something, I'd say.
Full of beans.
Yeah. Any other odds and ends?
British people put beans on toast.
That's not in the episode, though.
What?
That's not an end, but it's not a Star Trek odd end.
Oh, well.
Yeah, the beans and toast.
Do they eat beans? They eat beans in Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
In
got
Star
me
Trek,
there.
Star Trek 5, they're eating some beans, aren't they, with their marshmallows?
You never saw Picard going like, "Computer, beans, cool."
Cool. You want cold beans? You mean like some room temperature beans?
Yeah, some room temperature
This
beans.
is what
Cool
Captain
beans.
Picard eats.
He's just got a spoon. He's
He just slurping down. Computer, Yoplait, slightly warm.
Oh man, Yoplait.
Slightly warm. Slightly warm Yoplait.
Yeah, I like my beans cold and my Yoplait hot.
Okay. Fun episode from my perspective. Meh episode from Dan's perspective. Jesse, enigmatic as ever. We're not entirely sure what he thought. Could go either way.
Yeah,
We'll give him an opportunity right about now. What do you think? What did you think of this episode?
No, I thought it was a fun episode.
All right, so Jesse's on the fun way.
I want to see more wacky episodes.
Me too. I do like that they're interspersed with they're doing lots of different tones. That's great. That's what they should be doing. That's the fun of the format. It lets you do that. I love the fact that this is the type of episode you'll just randomly occasionally just decide to watch this
and
one
I'm
episode.
really digging like that aspect of it. Not that I didn't dig it in other scenario. Didn't dig the alternative. I'm just saying it's nice to be reminded of that.
And it's nice to have yet another flavor. That's so Lower Decks, Prodigy, Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, eventually maybe Section 31, etc. Short treks, different flavors for different. What rhymes with flavors? Favors.
Different flavors.
Different flavors for different
belabors.
Slavers.
Different flavors for different misbehaviors.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Doesn't necessarily make sense, and certainly not in the context I'm intending it.
We're
but,
misbehavers.
But we it works for us.
We're misbehaving.
We're
misbehaving.
No, we are misbehaving.
All right, so more of that, more fun stuff,
But we are misbehaving.
and more also fun stuff that has the meat in it. Because the Spock Amok was the same, but this was even more extreme, where this was a goofy, silly episode, and then boom, it's like, okay.
It resolved the whole daughter.
Now I'm like crying, and I'm also thinking about stuff.
My mind's doing stuff.
Heartbreaker.
The mind stuff, yeah.
We played. Do you remember we played with that band that was all like, they sang that song that all went, was talking to Misbehaving. They were all like, they sang the song and all like, they were like some middle-aged dudes, and they were like, when we get bored, we get dangerous. When we get bored, we get dangerous.
Was that like Velvet Lounge?
I think that was in Jimmy's Tavern or something.
Oh, that was the Jimmy's
I will just briefly interrupt to note that I don't know when this happened in time frame, but you are middle-aged guys now.
Yeah, this was
referring to middle-aged dudes.
This was when we were younger.
This was when we were younger. We were younger. They were probably a little more middle-aged than we were.
Yeah.
No, then we are.
We are. Same. Whatever.
And we are now.
Time is just a construct, man.
Time is a flat old circle.
It just sounded funny because they didn't sound very dangerous when they sang that song. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Michael Jackson has that album, Dangerous. Yeah. All right, so
turns out he had a dangerous lifestyle.
I think that does it. That will do it for us this week.
That'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do. Bartle do. That'll do. Pig. Bartle do.
Bartle do. Bartle dopey do.
I liked it. Okay. I liked it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Next week's episode, I've forgotten what the name of the episode is.
Better be more fun.
Hemmer
more fun to the max.
Hemmer was all like, I am a wizard. And then there's in Destiny, the game Destiny, there's a line from Peter Dinklage. He gives a voice for a character until they replace his voice. But he was like this robot, and he goes like, and there's these things you fight that are called wizards and knights and stuff. And he's like, but it's a shooting game and space game. He goes like, that wizard is from the moon, and it sounds really funny. You should look up that wizard is from the moon, Destiny on YouTube. It's funny.
That's a very good anecdote, and it gave me enough time to look it up and learn that next week's episode is called "All Those Who Wander." Which calls to mind
I wonder
that song, as well as the Lord of the Rings, that old poem, the not all those who wander are lost.
Right.
Not all that is gold, not all that's gold, not all gold does not glitter.
Not all that glitters is gold.
Not all that glitters is gold. Not all those who wander are lost.
Only trouble.
How many more
is,
episodes of this?
Two more. You got episode 9
my life
and episode 10.
It's the penultimate.
When I only ever think of penultimate after it happens, when it's the ultimate. Then I remember there was a penultimate prior.
I know, right?
I always forget.
What about the proximate?
The proxy?
Proximate? Because you have ultimate, penultimate,
That's sort of like
proximate.
near the center.
Is it
no,
like...
don't get Dan started on this whole center business again.
Hey, you were the one who's unclear.
Hey.
Are you talking about like proximate prime? Is that a transformer?
What I'm talking about is that next week we will be discussing episode 9, which is called All Those Who Wander, as opposed to Not All Those Who Wander. So that's the penultimate.
So buttons.
Penultimate episode of the season. So until then, we hope you all have a wonderful week and get to watch lots of Star Trek.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Try not to do anything that Dan wouldn't do.
Because that would be stupid.
Dan, the good thing is Dan does a whole variety of things across a pretty broad spectrum, so you have a lot of latitude.
He needs to watch out.
Everything I do is cool, and everything I don't do is stupid.
Those are words to live by, friend.
If you want to let us know what you've been doing, or what sort of Star Trek you've been getting into over the course of the week, or whatever. If you have any comments, corrections, questions,
I know what you're getting into.
Just troll us with vehemently, horrifying statements about our character. You may write to us at
the Bahamut
feedback at itsgotstartrek.com. And the website is www.itsgotstartrek.com. Don't go to StarTrek.com. I mean, go to StarTrek.com for other stuff, but for our stuff, go to itsgotstartrek.com.
It's got Star. No apostrophe, because website pages don't.
You can do
it's got it.
Well,
not
it's got
in
an
the
apostrophe
URL.
in the name, but not in the URL. Yeah.
Because that's not how they work.
URLs, they don't dig on them special characters.
It really has got it. It really has it.
On social media, we're at symbol It's Got Star Trek, and then we're on YouTube,
Apple Podcasts.
and we're on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, and other podcasts.
Anything else?
All the podcasts you can imagine.
You said YouTube.
All the podcasts.
All the podcasts. Okay. So until next week, have a good one.
Later, dude.
Toodaloo.
Is this some kind of a joke, Captain?
If it is jokes you desire, I could summon the court jester. Summon the court jester! Hold the jester!